Today we are going to talk about Jehovah's Witnesses and sex. A lot to say about this subject and Jehovah's Witnesses. I think it would be fair to say that Jehovah's Witnesses' view on sex is pretty twisted. And that is why young men and young women are getting married way too young. They're getting married at 17, 18, 19 years old when they should really be thinking about their studies, really, their career, rather than getting married. The reason why those people are getting married is because they are not even allowed to date unless it's in view of marriage. They're not allowed to have any type of sex in any shape or form. And that is due because of an old book written by old men says that sex is bad and sex is supposed to happen only when you are legally married in front of another man that will, marry you, obviously. So it is fair to say that the view on sex of Jehovah's Witnesses is really twisted because those young people, they're not getting married because they want to be married. They're not getting married because they are even in love. But they are getting married because they want to have sex. And that, in my book, it's pretty bad. Let's say you still believe in the God of the Bible as being the God of the universe, even after maybe having studied science, studied the universe, studied even the story of the Bible. If you, after all that, you are still convinced that the God of the Bible is God, how in the world a loving God, as it's supposed to be, as the God of the Bible is supposed to be, how in the world a loving God would have created men and women with sexual desire, and then only to tell them, you're not allowed to have sex. If you want to have sex, you need to get married. And remember another thing, even though Jehovah's Witnesses say that God invented the marriage, He never invented the marriage. He never invented marriage. Never the word marriage was in the Bible, even when it refers to Adam and Eve, when God basically told them they could have sex together. He did not marry them. He just told them, go ahead and have sex. But the Jehovah's Witnesses interpreted that as marriage. But really, truly, marriage is a human invention. It's an invention that serves, governments and other stuff. It's a human invention, and sometimes that serves couples as well, as far as paying your taxes and stuff like that. But marriage was never created by God, It's just an invention. It's a man's invention. So that God of the Bible that is supposed to be loving created a very strong sexual desire, especially in young men, and never invented marriage, but told them that, you can only have sex if you get married. So that alone, shows you how twisted the teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses can be. How cruel would that be for a God to create sexual desire in humans and then tell them you pretty much can't have sex? Because if you do, you better get married. So that's why you have those young men and women, Jehovah's Witnesses, they are so stuck. They were never allowed to have a normal, sexual life, even before they had intercourse with someone. Like a normal sexual life, meaning even allowed to be attracted to someone else, whether they're heterosexual and being attracted to the opposite sex, or being homosexual and being attracted by the same sex. They were never allowed to experience their sexuality, even before they had intercourse. Experience your sexuality is not only having intercourse with someone, it's being free to enjoy the butterflies in your stomach, being free to enjoy going out with someone you're falling in love with, and being free to make mistakes and break up with that person. The average Jehovah's Witnesses was never allowed to do such thing. So when they hit 17 years old, 18 years old, 19 years old, and they find someone that just looks good enough they get married with them. They're not in love. They don't want to get married. They just want to have sex. So how twisted that teaching is, how bad that teaching is for a young person, especially someone, that has been raised in this awful religion. Another thing worth mentioning is that sexual frustrations does create sexual deviation, such as pedophilia. Why do you think there are so many cases of pedophilia among Jehovah's Witnesses and the Catholic Church, for example? Because when it comes to sex, they pretty much have the same type of teaching. In the case of Catholic priests, they can't even get married, so they are supposed to never ever have sex. In the case of Jehovah's Witnesses, it's barely any better, because unless they get married, they can't have sex either. So whether they get married at 20, 25, or 40 years old, they will never have sex before that age, and if they're not getting married ever, they're not supposed to have sex. So this type of sexual frustrations, when you are under the teaching of a religion that does not even understand what sex is and what sex serves for the mental and body health of the human being, is going to create some damages. And in the case of pedophilia, it is one of the way that sexual frustration will show its ugly head. Pedophilia is a deviation based on different things, but one of the reasons, if you do your research, one of the reasons that pedophile could be created, so to speak, is because of sexual frustrations, on top of sometimes sexual abuse, which would be the number one. But number two reason, the perfect recipe to make a pedophile, so to speak, would be sexual frustration. And we know how much of that exists among Jehovah's Witnesses. So very sad indeed that that sad teaching about sexuality also has created monsters among Jehovah's Witnesses in the form of pedophiles. And lastly, I would say that it is only normal to experience our sexual desire, because we are only one type of animal. The other animals of the planet don't ask themselves the questions about their sexuality that we do. And you are going to say, well, we are more intelligent than they are. Well, maybe, maybe not. Because they are actually more in alignment with the universe than we are. Especially when we are under the influence of a religion such as Jehovah's Witnesses, but also many, many other religions, pretty much all of them. Because religions, what they like to do is put rules on human beings, and the worst part of it, rules that have direct connection with who we really are and the feelings that we really feel based on the way that we are created, the way that we are made up. So if you are one of Jehovah's Witnesses, don't feel that you are a bad person because you have sexual desire. Don't feel that it's wrong to have sexual desire. It's just a normal thing that you were brainwashed into believing that is not normal. And not only that's not normal, that is actually bad. So it is my wish that if you are feeling very bad when it comes to your sexual feelings, if you're feeling very frustrated sexually, it is my desire that you hopefully will wake up to the fact that you are just listening to men that have created just one more religion that is called Jehovah's Witnesses. And that, I know it's not easy, but you can leave. You can leave this religion like I have and many others have out there. You can leave the religion and be free. Or you can stay, it's up to you. But if you decide to stay, I want you to know that your sexual desire is not something that's wrong. It's just a normal desire that you were created to have. Hope you liked this video. If you did, like it, share it, comment, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.